Hi, my name is Nicole, and this is the CK Diary Podcast. I hope you guys are having a great week. I have had a really good week, just lots of fun with my family. My husband's mowing outside. I don't know if you'll be able to hear him or not, but we had a lot of stuff to get done this Saturday, so I'm trying to record while my boys are napping, and my husband's trying to get the lawn done while my boys are napping, and then I think I talked about this in the last podcast. I know it might still be too early for some people, but we are decorating for Christmas this weekend, so we're trying to get everything clean and ready to go so that we can decorate with no issues. So I have a lot to share with you today. This might be a little bit of a long podcast, so grab something cozy, grab a project to work on, and we will get started. Today I am drinking a tea. This is one of my favorite teas. I lost it for a while. I couldn't find it anywhere, and it turned out I have a drawer in my kitchen for all of my teas, and then there's like a cabinet right underneath it. I don't think we even have anything in that cabinet. It's just an empty cabinet in our kitchen. And this bag of tea fell through the back of my drawer into that cabinet. So that's where it's been sitting. I've been trying to find it. This is the Taste of Tahiti tea. It's by Babette's Bees and Teas. I've talked about her before. She is a local tea maker, and she also has bees. She has honey that she sells. This is Pura tea with apple pieces, rose hips, coconut, papaya flavor, rose petals, raspberries, mango pieces, and natural coconut flavor. This is probably my favorite tea that I've ever had before, bar none. It's very good. It's a nice little sweet treat. All right. Now, I do have one finished object to share with you. I already gifted it. We gave it to my son's little best friend. She lives right across the street from us. They actually just got home. That's why I peeked out my window, because I heard doors shutting. But we gave her little mittens already. I'll put a little picture on the screen here of them. I used the Tin Can Knits pattern, World's Simplest Mittens. I'm actually going to talk about this a little bit more in my pattern spotlight, because it's a really sweet pattern. It's quick, it's free, it's easy, and I think it's a really great pattern. So I want to share more with you about that later. The yarn that I used for it, I had a little over a half skein of the apple cider yarn on Rose DK by Ruby and Roses. This was what I made my poncho with. I had a little bit left, so this is what I used for the mittens. I'm teaching my neighbor, I taught my neighbor how to knit, and we were working on a Coziest Memories blanket together, and her daughter came up to us while we were making them, and mine had a little one of the mitered squares that I had was pink and purple, and she was like, "Oh, I love that. That's so pretty. I love pink and purple." So I thought that yarn would be really cute to make her some little mittens. They took like less than 2 days. They were really, really quick. We watched, I think, between like 2 movies and maybe sitting outside watching the boys play for a little bit, I got them done. They're pretty quick. I mean, depending on the size that you're doing and the weight of yarn that you're using. The Rose DK is obviously a DK weight yarn, and then the pattern that I did was a child size, so it was really quick. I do have a lot of whips to share with you, and I just brought my whole knitting bag with me. So the first one I will show you is the Cute Little Vest by Rachel Brockman. This can be found for free on Ravelry or on universalyarns.com, their website. Let me see if I can get the front of it. Now, last time I showed this to you, last week, I actually posted a picture. I put a picture in the last video, but whenever I talked about it, I think I was working on doing the back, like I had split from front to back, and I started working on the back, but the picture that I posted was like a couple days later, and that actually showed some of the front worked up. Well, now I have the front connected, or the front and back connected at the top here, I actually learned a new technique here to connect the front and back. I used I think it's called like the 3-needle bind off or something. Really easy, and it makes for a really nice seam, if you can see that there. I've also added the ribbing on the sleeves, and now I'm adding the ribbing on the neck. I will definitely have this done by the end of the day. I mean, unless something happens, but I should absolutely have this done by the end of the day. And hopefully I do. Now, I did cast on a random project just because I wanted some vanilla knitting. Most of the projects that I've been working on lately have been pattern projects that I have to like sit down and really pay attention to. And I've been outside with the boys a lot. We've been going to the park. My husband's been, we've been going on little drives with my husband. So I wanted a pattern that I could just sit and knit on without I wanted a project that I could just sit and knit on without looking at a pattern. Sorry, I've got 3 projects in this bag right now, so it's all twisted and tangled. All right, so this is the project that I'm working on. I'm just doing a pair of vanilla socks. This is I'm going to do cuffs and heels in this color. I wanted a really long cuff. Now, I'm using the pattern Vanilla Sock on Magic Loop by Crazy Sock Lady, and I'm doing a 2x2 rib. I believe she does 20 rounds for her ribbing. I only did 15. But I know for a 20-gram mini, you can usually do heels, toes, and cuffs if you are doing 10 rounds for the cuff. So I don't think I'll have enough for the heels, toes, and cuffs. So I think I'm just gonna do cuffs and heels because I want to wear them with my new shoes. I got new sandals the other day, and you can't see the toes in the sandals anyway. So I think heels and cuffs will be perfect for that. And then this is the main color. This was one of the Taylor Swift yarns by Sorella. I don't remember the colorway. I think they were all based off of her songs, maybe. I'll try to find the label. My friend Katie from Katie's Randomness, she was knitting socks with this yarn one day, and I was like, ooh, I love this. Where can I get it? And she told me that it was one of Sorella's special collections, and she wasn't selling it anymore. And then she messaged me a few days later and said that she saw it on, oh gosh, I can't remember what the app is called, but there's an app and it's like chat groups, and somebody was selling it on there. So I went and joined that little group and got this sock yarn. Let me see if I have the tag for it. I should. I'm not able to find it currently, but if I find the name of the yarn before I post the podcast, I'll put the name of it right here on the screen. I should be able to find it, and I'll have all the information down below as per usual. All right. So this is just a little project for me. I'm not in a rush to get these done. This is just going to be in between projects whenever I need some vanilla knitting. And then my last whip that I have to show you is this Muscle Bear hat. I started another Muscle Bear hat. This is a pattern by Ysolda Teague. I went to Joann's the other day. I needed some yarn, and I got this. My Joann's used to not really sell any natural yarn, like natural fiber yarn. The only yarn that they had was cotton. They had 100% cotton yarn, and then they had the 80% acrylic, 20% wool by, I think that's Lion Brand too, like that really chunky yarn that people make baskets out of. That was really the only natural fiber yarn that they had. I went a few weeks ago and went to their natural fiber section, and they had way more options. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the natural yarn that they have isn't plied. It's just, I forget what they call it, like the, oh shoot, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one that's not plied. It's just like a single ply. And that pills a lot easier. It's not quite as strong. So I really don't want to make gifts out of that yarn because I'd be worried that it would be really hard for somebody to take care of. it would be more like a chore than a gift, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong down below if you've had luck with that kind of yarn. But this yarn, this is by Lucky Brand, and it is a 50% cotton, 50% superwash merino wool. And it is beautiful. All of the yarn in this line that I saw there at Joann's was heathered. And this is a really pretty, it's almost like a teal color. It's called Blue Coral. It does look a lot different online than it does in person. In person, it's like kind of a mix between a teal and a baby blue. If you, it really depends on the lighting that you're in. Right now it's leaning more teal, but whenever I'm in my living room and I have like right now I have a lot of natural light coming in, but whenever I'm in our living room underneath our ceiling light, it is pretty like more like a light blue, I feel like. But either way, I got this to make the hat. It is they just have 4 medium. It is a worsted weight yarn. But whenever I knit with it, whenever I started this pattern, I started with the needles that they recommended. They recommend 4mm needles, and I like the fabric on it. It's not too dense, and it's not open. It's certainly not open, but it's definitely not too dense. And whenever I measured the gauge, it was the heaviest DK weight yarn gauge that the Muscle Burr pattern uses. Now, if you're not familiar with the Muscle Burr pattern, you knit to your own gauge. It is not a pattern that you need a gauge swatch for. So you pick the needles you want, you pick the yarn that you want, and then you knit a little bit of the fabric. And then once you knit a little bit of the fabric, they have you measure your stitches. And then they give you the pattern count for your unique gauge. So this ended up fitting the heaviest gauge that they had, which was 5 stitches per inch. So it worked out perfect. And I think I could have even maybe done the 5.5 stitches per inch, but I wanted it to be a little bit, I didn't want it to be that loose. So I went ahead and did the 5 stitches per inch gauge. Now that was all of my whips. Now I can kind of start talking to you guys about gift knitting. So, a lot of, or 2 out of 3 of the whips that I talked about today are gift knits. My cute little vest is for my friend's son. And then the Muscle Burr that I'm making is for my sister-in-law. So Christmas, I believe today's the 9th. So it's like 46 days away, I think 45 days away. And I have a lot of things that I want to knit for gifts. Some things I have yarn for already, some things I don't. But I wanted to talk a little bit about gift knitting here today. So I already shared with you the cute little vest and my sister-in-law's hat. Now the cute little vest isn't necessarily a Christmas gift. It was just something my friend and I were chatting. She lives in North Carolina, and we were chatting about, she sews and I knit, mainly I knit. And we were just talking about our crafts and the things that we've been working on. And I sent her the sweater vest that I made for myself, and she said that that was really cute and that her son wears bow ties, and she asked if she could buy a sweater vest from me. And whenever we talked about it, his birthday had just passed, and I'm like, well, let me make him a belated birthday gift. So that's what that sweater vest is for. That's not for Christmas, but she'll probably get it closer to Christmas than she gets it to his birthday. And then the Muscle Burr is for Christmas, though. Now, the other thing that I'm working on, or that I want to work on, is a Sophie scarf for my mother-in-law. So I went ahead and got that same 50% cotton, 50% superwash merino wool from Lucky Brand. But this is in the color Olivine, Olivine, Olivine. I would pronounce that Olivine, I feel like. It's a really pretty dark green and light green heathered color. I quite like it. My mother-in-law really loves green. I think her favorite colors are green and purple, but she tends to wear green more. So I went ahead and grabbed the green. Now, I knit a Sophie scarf a long time ago. That was one of my very first knitting projects. I think I did that in like January. And she came over and she tried it on and she loved it. And it was really cute on her. So I told her just to take it, that she could have it. Well, now I'm wanting to make the Sophie shawl for her. I think that she would probably get more use out of a shawl than she gets out of that kerchief. But I don't know. We will see. Now, for the other gifts that I'm wanting to make, I have so many things that I want to do, and I feel like I always put a lot of stuff on my plate. So I'm just going to write down all the things that I want to make and like kind of in the order of which I want to make them, and then just check them off as I go. And if they get them for Christmas, they get them for Christmas, and if they don't, they don't. And I just need to not put too much pressure on myself, especially this close to Christmas. I think I kept thinking I had all of this time, and then Halloween hit and I was like, oh shoot, tomorrow's November. What am I going to do? So I know I showed you guys that snow dress that I was wanting to make for my friend. I never talked to her about it. It was going to be a surprise. I just wanted to make that dress. And her daughter is really the only daughter of that age that I know. I didn't want to do anything too big. So I picked their second to smallest size because I just wanted to practice the color work. It's taken me forever to sit down and do like one round of the color work. It takes me forever. And I know hopefully with more practice, I will hopefully get faster with the color work. But it's a little overwhelming. And I know that if I work to make that dress before December, that I'm not going to get anything else done. That will take all of my knitting time. So I'm going to put that on the back burner for now. I have all the yarn together. I have the pattern there with it. And I will just work on it as I want to. Honestly, it wasn't like a nice, relaxing, joyful knit. It was more like a working and trying to learn a new skill. So a lot of my knitting, since I don't have that much time to knit throughout the week, I really want my knitting to be more relaxing for the most part. I like a challenge occasionally, but I think that was a little too challenging for right now. And honestly, it's not the color. The color work was great and the knitting was great. I mean, it's just knitted. It's not like I'm not really purling or anything. It was the catching my floats that was driving me crazy. So if you guys have any tips or tricks on catching floats, for some reason, I was just like, it was driving me crazy trying to catch those floats. I also am like a little unclear on how often to catch them. Like I looked up a few videos of it, and a few of the videos say that they catch it every other stitch. Some of the videos said that they catch it every 5 stitches. One thing that I read said to catch it every 2 inches, which I think with this, it would have been quite a few stitches to make 2 inches, maybe like 8 to 10. I don't know. Yeah, I would say about 10 inches or so. So anyway, let me know down below how you guys catch your floats, and maybe something that you guys tell me will make a light bulb go off in my head, and I'll be like, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that? All right. And my brother's girlfriend, I do want to make her a scarf of sorts as well. I already ordered the yarn for it. I ordered yarn with the intentions of making a Sophie shawl. I got 200 grams of fingering weight alpaca. And I think usually with what I do for the Sophie shawl, I don't go, I say usually, I've only made 2. But I usually don't go by the pattern per se. For this one, I'll have 4 skeins of yarn, 4 50-gram skeins, and I will hold, it's fingering weight yarn, so I will hold it double to make it closer to a DK weight yarn. And I will knit until the first 2 balls are gone, and then I'll do the increases until the first 2 balls are gone, and then I'll do decreases, start the decreases with the last 2 balls. But I'm not opposed to finding a different shawl, because I would like to mix it up a little bit, because that will mean I just finished this Sophie shawl. And this was a gift knit too, but the person that I made it for, I don't know if we're gonna see them before Christmas. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this to them or not. Um, and so, I mean, I guess I have that Sophie shawl there that I could gift. I don't know. And then like repurpose. And then the Sophie shawl for my mother-in-law. And then I have my Sophie shawl for myself, the tan colored one that I was doing, or the caramel colored one that I was doing. So it's just, I might want to switch it up and find a different pattern. And I was looking through shawls on Ravelry, and I like some of the ones with like a little bit of lace work. And I want a shawl that's a solid color, because that's what I have. That's the yarn that I have. I don't want it to be a color work shawl, or like a stripy shawl or a scrappy shawl, anything of that nature. And I want it to be fairly minimal, like the design to be a little bit more minimal, I guess, like not too much lace work or anything like that. So I don't know. If you guys have any suggestions, I would happily take those as well. Now, as far as like gift knitting goes, beyond that, I have so many things I want to make. I have socks that I want to make for people. I would love to make my dad a beanie as well if I have time before Christmas rolls around. I knit him I crocheted a couple of Christmas presents for him last year, so I'm trying to get to some of the people that I haven't been able to knit gifts for yet. And then I'm trying to think. I know I had another one. Oh, I'm trying to finish up a blanket that's a gift, a couple of blankets that are gifts. So I don't know. I've just got so much right now that I am trying to work through. But hopefully, maybe sharing it with you guys will help keep me accountable. And also, it's a good reminder for me, like if I need to like go back and listen to it, like what did I want to make again? I have a note going on my phone right now, but I always get sidetracked. And like I'll watch videos or I'll see things online where people have a ton of whips. And I'm like I'll think like, oh, that's so many whips, or I don't know how they're going to get through all of that. And then I look at my whip lineup and I'm like, I have more. I have more than they just said that they had, but I forgot about half of them. So I have a whole pile over here of my whips. They're all in bags. And I have a whole pile going, and I'll set something down for a while. My biggest problem is that I'll set something down for a while without writing down where I am. So like right now, my husband's sweater, I ended up not finishing this because we ended up not being able to go to Asheville. And now I'm on his sleeve, and like I can count the stitches and pretty easily figure out where I'm at on the sleeve, but I don't remember how many extra stitches I picked up. I know I picked up a couple of extra stitches to help with the holes in the sleeve, but I can't remember how many I picked up. So I don't know. I'm going to have to figure it out. I didn't write it down. But this is a lot further along than I thought it was. See, and it's stuff like this that I see and I'm like, man, why didn't I just finish that? Why didn't I just finish that? It wouldn't have taken that long. Actually, let me look. These might be the needles I've been looking for. No, they're not. But anyway, just wanted to share some insight of what's been going through my brain, what I've been thinking, what I've been working on, what I've been thinking about working on. But that is pretty much it for this week. If you guys have Christmas knits that you have lined up, I would love to hear about them down below. I love seeing what you guys are working on and hearing about your patterns because it usually gives me some inspiration and some encouragement. All right, the last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today is the pattern spotlight. So I know I talked about it at the beginning a little bit, the world's simplest mittens. I'll go ahead and put my mittens that I made up on the screen again. This is the world's simplest mittens by Tin Can Knits. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and also I took a screen recording of their app and I'm gonna go ahead and put that here now and talk about it a little bit because I just think their app is just so neat. It's been extremely helpful for me whenever I've been learning the sweaters and with these mittens. So basically, you can go to your app store. It's just called Tin Can Knits app, I'm pretty sure. I can maybe put a link down below. I don't know how that works with like a laptop or a computer, but for people on their phones, hopefully it'll be easier for you to find it. So you can go to their app. you can pick the pattern that you want. If you go on the bottom of the app, you'll see a couple of different options. One says patterns. All of those patterns are free. The World's Simplest Mittens is free, and then their sweater that they have, I can't remember what it's called, but that is free as well. That's what I made for the boys. Both of my boys' sweaters that I made, both the first sweaters I ever made, that was the Tin Can Knits free pattern. So you go into the app, you can find the pattern that you want, and then you click through and it does everything for you. So you click the weight of yarn that you're using. For most of, I think for pretty much all of their free patterns, they have several different weights of yarn that you can choose from. So you go find the weight of yarn that you want to use, and then you click on the size pattern that you want, and it does all the math for you. And you don't have to sit there and count. Like, I know if I'm making the size 5, I have to go through the parenthetical note and count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to see how many stitches I'm doing every single time I start a new thing for the pattern. So this is great because it does all of that for you. There's much fewer chances for confusion and mess ups. And it's just a really, really great resource. I mean, for beginners and well-versed knitters alike, I feel like it's just a really great app. But I wanted to give that a little bit of a spotlight today. I'm sure most of you watching have already heard of it or might know of it, but it is a really great resource and I have really enjoyed using it. But the free mittens specifically, or the World's Simplest Mittens specifically, was my spotlight pattern because I had such a great time knitting that this week. It was really fun. It was really quick. And if you're wanting some like really quick Christmas gifts, that is perfect. I feel like you would be able to make like 30 of them, like 30 pairs of mittens before Christmas comes around. That is all. I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for sitting here and chatting with me today. I hope you have a great week. Bye.